Welcome to the rant. Just the two of us this week. Gord is, I think he's at the National Gallery, Glenn.
Yeah, he's at the war. He's down at Canberra.
Black Opal
yesterday. Big result in the Black Opal for the bookies there, a $35 chance winning, which is unusual in modern racing.
Certainly is. And speaking of modern racing, we had modern racing on Saturday at Randwick with a twist. Obviously a track that not many people expected to race on, and a track that turned out that Tommy Berry quickly found a fast lane in the first. That was actually on Twitter was
Racing New South Wales had mentioned it.
Yes.
That young Tom had walked the track.
Yes.
And that he was going to sit back on Frolic and head to the outside fence, which was outstanding riding, and won that horse the race and completely demoralised that field and gave it a lot of momentum going towards the slipper. And 10 out of 10 to Tommy Berry, and then on the very next race we find him on the inside on Showtime.
Well, he did drill gate 1 in the inside in race 2. It's one of those beasts that's, okay, let's talk about the fact that nothing really untoward happened. Yes, the racing looked a bit different, you know, it was racing...
What do you mean untoward, Mark? You mean no Dixie Lasses? Or Dixie Chick? What's that Dixie horse name?
Yeah.
Dixie whoever.
Look, maybe race 2, but the other results were not unpredictable. I mean, it's like the form stood up, provided you got the right run.
Yeah, the racing was...
So why is the form still so solid on a track that should be throwing up like anything?
I think because we got horses set for races, the fittest horses winning or whatever, and all the boys are in town. All the hot riders are here. Not many people make mistakes on a track like this.
That's weird, isn't it? Because you know, you think back to years gone by, and it was game on, and you know, the unpredictability seems to have gone out of it.
I know what you mean. You mean that you don't look at it.
It's not random.
You're not saying after the race, how did that win?
Yeah,
at
or
50s?
where did that come from?
How did
they do that?
Yeah, I understand, man. Yeah, but I don't understand Showtime in race 2. He was by himself, and then it was 7 horses across. So 10 out of 10 for the ride in race 1. And how do you explain the ride in race 2? I thought Showtime went particularly well.
He did. And what about the favourite in race 2, who, interestingly, was heavily laid and heavily backed because it was heavily tipped. And the perception was he got out to a backable price.
The 260 seemed backable.
But the thing is that once you're confronted with that sort of track, jockeys are thinking differently straight away. And Tim Clark is thinking, I've got to restrain, make sure that I get to a position where I can loop the field.
Circumnavigate. He had to go.
He would never have been thinking of doing that.
He had to go backwards to go forwards.
So what I'm saying is, on a 250 chance, there's an element. So the results weren't random in themselves, but once you get to the really pointy end of the market, the game's different. So Tim Clark's immediately thinking about doing something very different on his horse because of what's happened in race 1.
And that explains why you got 260.
Does it explain the result? Well, the horse didn't. The horse seemed to, like, interestingly, T. Berry in race 1 held his horse together. No one else had a clue. So he didn't have to jostle to get to the outside fence. He was there. He pushed his horse diagonally from the turn. He didn't try and get out there on the turn.
Right.
Whereas in the next race, T. Clark was like 4 wide around the field to make sure that he could be the widest.
Well, sometimes it has been a race to the outside fence, you know, like... anyway, like, I don't know, different racing, but it's exciting.
It's exciting, and the other thing is, look, the point I really want to make is the fact that if you're confronted with a $2.50 chance when the game changes, that's more pertinent than if you're on a $6 chance. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
It's like the onus is on you to somehow make things happen, whereas the others could, well, they didn't quite have so much pressure on them.
Yeah, but can I take you to task a bit there? Are we talking now after the race?
So you're different with a mic, aren't you? Like, we're mic'd up today. Hopefully there's no wind noise.
We can't really move because the sound doesn't hear us.
Glenn's got a big furry thing on his chest, and he's gone all, remember that
I'm like
pilot show we did
I'm like a single
Dallas?
bloke in the 70s. Not the noughties.
All right, so you're going to take me to task. What's the story?
Well, because you're saying that we've got to be wary. This was going to be a $1.85 chance on the Friday. Are you saying now we're going to be wary at the 260 because it got beat? I'll give you a good example. I'll take you to task on this. On the previous show on Friday, you said there was a horse that raced in the hot race, and you were tipped, Run Louis Run. You said, what about it? It's coming out of the hot race. Don't you want to back a horse out of the hot race? Do you remember saying those comments?
Lucky Louis, yeah.
Yeah, Lucky Louis. Remember who won the race? She Will Reign. It's coming out. This stamps this horse. Yet the previous week, on the RANT, you said Lascity Spirit won't win, and yet it was coming out of a hot race. So I want you to explain to our viewers what you're saying.
Fuck, what are you bringing this up for? Honestly, I wasn't even going to talk about this today.
No, I'm interested because you said Lascity Spirit can't go, but didn't it run in a hot race because it got beaten by Wings? And yet in the 2-year-old race, you said, well, you've got to back this horse because it's in the fair income race. I'm just saying, come on, Mark, give us the apples and pears. What are you fucking talking about?
I'm saying Lascity Spirit started 200 to 1 in her Oaks win. She
Right.
started whatever price she did the other day. Was
Yes.
it 200s or whatever it was?
But you'd agree coming out of a hot race.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact is that the whole rationale for this is her SP in these races where she's bobbing her head up and doing something.
Okay, but do you agree she's coming out of a hot race?
Well, not last week, no. That's not a hot race. No,
It's Winks.
yeah, but that Winks last week wasn't a hot race because of the way the track was playing.
Well, what I'm saying, now let's get to this 260 thing. I think, yes, I
The
understand.
plane going overhead right now, hopefully you can't hear it.
Yeah, that was a plane. Hopefully you didn't get it because we're all mic'd up. And now you're saying that this $2.50, you've got to be wary of this $2.50, which I'm saying, are we saying that after the race? Because we don't want to start being like Dirty Filthy Sky Channel, we're the Punisher, or RacingRant, or whatever we are.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there's a price range that the situation on Saturday affected more. Like,
And I think that's why we got 260. I think 260 was a great bet. It just happened not to pay off.
Okay, Glenn, Gunnison was the only horse to lead all the way on Saturday.
I think Shin really got the tempo right. I think it was under the horses. It's gone terrific, but going forward to the slipper, it doesn't look slipper form. Would you agree?
No, the beautiful thing about the slipper is that in race 1, She Will Reign went down, just like Sepoy went down, it's like Capitalist went down. It's the best lead up to the slipper you can find.
Well, it is interesting too. I mean, the market's reacted. She was $2.80 to win the slipper, and now I thought she got completely towed, found out.
Yeah, and what did they say?
Well, it's $3.60. I feel like she should be like $8 a field, the slipper.
Yeah, they're not being very kind, are they?
What's $3.60 her, $3.80 Utzon? Like, so you can lay the bracket. If
380 Hudson, who hasn't had a Sydney run.
Like, isn't the slipper just $8 a field and anyone can win?
Well, the other thing was, let's talk about She Will Reign. She had her first go at 1200 on Saturday. Now, I realise that, you know, it all looked a bit forgivable, but
She got towed.
she got beaten at 1200.
She got towed. Well, she got absolutely smashed. And look, the people who got She Will Reign, wishing you all the best. I doubt it can win the slipper.
All right, but that's a big call, you know. It's
What's
like
the pressure race?
Capitalist looked terrible in his
Yeah, look, it's a
you
game.
know,
A
like
game
kiss
of.
and run. Where kiss and chase? Kiss and chase.
Where
is it?
What happens to these gay horses? What happens? Do they just get run out of town, or do they just die somewhere in the back of a barn and they horse manure them for horse manure? Like,
All right, but look, everything's in now. It's 2 weeks to the slipper. We'll have another slipper lead up next week at Rose Hill.
well, isn't A the Blue Diamond Woman Catch Cry? Isn't that A? It's $11.
It's David Hayes. Yeah, $11.
Seems fair, doesn't it?
Well, we've got good lines there through Pariah, who's got a line with Minari, and Taking Aim, who's got another line with Minari.
And if we get this constant wet weather, how long to the slip mark? Is it 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
So we've got one last lead up next week with the also rans. I still don't know why you can't qualify after running in the Wellington boot on Sunday. I never worked that out. Why can't you be like $4,000 short of prize money and run out to the boot and then still qualify? I don't know why. It's weird.
What? So they put what do you mean? You can't use Wellington boot prize money?
No, because they've named the field by Saturday night.
Fair income.
Yeah, because they name the field or something and then they have the barrier draw on the Tuesday, don't they?
Oh, I suppose they do.
And I always thought, what if you like just missed out and you could race out to Wellington and go around and win the boot?
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Why not?
So there's another plane going over. Let's
Can you hear
hope
that?
you can't hear that. So
We used to be lost without Dallas, just you and me, remember? We'd be like, oh. Now we're
okay,
all
so
mic'd up.
Catchy looks an interesting play in the slipper.
Well, Catchy looks A.
All right, what about the horse that beat She Will Reign, who's now got two blousing wins at Randwick 1200?
It's got a great chance in the slipper. If it gets a slow 6 and above, if it's on a good 4 or good 3, well, it won't be a good 3 obviously, but if it's on a 4 or 5, I suspect it's got none. But if it's a slow 7 or something, why not? Why not? And Tommy Berry, he can win a slipper. He can't win a Katoomba Maiden for me when he's on anything, but he can win a slipper.
All right, so the winner of the second, and possibly the second place getter in the second,
Yes.
Gunnison and Invader, Snowden horses, they've both gone really well on Saturday. They've beaten Frolics for times, despite the fact that they're on an inferior track. You know, it was obviously a track that was about to go down to a 10. What about them?
Don't know.
What about Minari, who would be having his 4th start first prep?
Hard to imagine, but there. I'm saying $8 the field. So Minari would be in the $13 range at 8th pick with me. You know what I mean? Like, open as the Sydney heads, the old saying.
All right, that's the slipper, and obviously we'll talk more on the slipper, but
We've got a train. Can you hear the train?
interesting lead-ups there.
Trains, planes and automobiles.
Race 3, Scarlet Rain didn't have a price and didn't get to the turn.
Do you know what we miss in this park?
What?
A good old bum.
What, like a
Low,
vagrant?
yeah, we should have a vagrant. This is fucking, have a look where we are in the city. 5.5 years we've been here, we've never had a bum.
But Glenn, like every week someone comes and draws on that substation there, and,
Oh,
and the guy comes and cleans it off every week.
If you know a bum out there that needs to, like, there's some shelter behind there, and then we can just sit old mate on a stool behind us, begging us.
Another plane, hopefully you can't hear
Plane.
that.
Go, mate.
Yeah, so Scarlet Rain didn't have a price, jumped out, looked to control, and they just swarmed her, like soon after turning for home.
Well, everyone seemed quite surprised. I wasn't that surprised. I know the stewards are looking into the run. They're concerned that it opened up $2.50, which is just rubbish, and they got out to as much as, did $5 get bet? And it looked awful from a betting trend, but I think should never open up $2.50. Should have opened up $3.70 straight away. And I think it only got to its SP, and it failed and went poorly. I don't see a problem with it going so bad. I know they're dirty about it.
Glen All looked to go particularly well in that race.
Horse to follow, horse from the meeting to follow. Really good horse, Mo.
Samantha, perfectly suited, perfectly
Suited, ticked all boxes, on top on Manning Armour, paraded perfect, a Brown special, and got the job done. Thank you, Brown.
What do you say about the horse you were keen on, Faith's Encore, that's got into the 4, but perhaps... Bled.
It did a really good job.
Okay, well, we don't need to worry about her anyway.
Yeah.
And the Anthony Cummings horse, Martonte, who...
Well, it seemed to sit wide, you know. Marrera, what about this Sydney Marrera? What about him, punters? Isn't he just like... He's G. Buckley in Sydney.
Well, yeah, but he seemed to do a really good job on hieroglyphics.
He's a provincial rider.
He had the race won on hieroglyphics.
He got tired. He got absolutely tired. How didn't he win?
Amazingly, Rocket Commander is 2 lengths behind hieroglyphics.
Going nowhere.
At the 50-metre mark.
And beats it. Tommy again. Tommy just to do my head in. But Jay Marrera, look, he's always hard in the market because he's, what do they call him, Japanese Joe? What's his name? What's his nickname?
The Magic Man.
The Magic Man. And you got that. And when the Magic Man finally does ride a winner, and he hasn't got one about his last 30, if that caller starts going on about the Magic Man, you'll see the old Glenster run up the escalators and grab him and headbutt him for all of us, because we've all done a lot of money on the Magic Man, and he does not seem to get the job done in Sydney.
Yeah.
I know at Hong Kong, I play cards Sunday night, Jay Marrera, Jay Marrera, Jay Marrera, Jay Marrera. I think it's more of an indictment of my earlier thoughts on the Punters Show about the riders in Hong Kong. A pack of trannies and beaten up expats.
Big hello to Clippo.
Except for young Clippo. Nash is now beaten up expat.
Nash came back for the Mardi Gras, didn't he?
Yeah, and all the other Asian riders used to be girls or something. Like, that's the reason the Magic does so well there. Leave me out of the Magic in Sydney. Has not fired.
Zestful Glenn, who
went terrific.
Who you queried totally in the conditions. She was a horse that is going so well that she was beaten at the 600. She's been beaten half a length.
What a terrific horse she is at the moment. And what a triple tick to Chris Lee's horse at the moment. Our new stable man, our man. But
That's right.
Whether he's our man or not, the stable's flying, and we'd all agree.
Yeah, he does a good job. Glenn got it perfect in the Canterbury Stakes. T. Berry, who'd already been our nemesis on the card, he was trying something different again on Chautauqua. It was like, I'll tail out here and then I'll cut the corner.
It was something different. It was on the back of Haraki around the back. He was only 2 lengths away. I don't know why he didn't go wide with Haraki.
But I don't know. I reckon those, like, it was a difficult choice to make. If you skirted the outside fence, you cost yourself a lot to get there. If
I
you
understand.
didn't,
I understand. And perfect example is Glyn later on in El Lou, when it just straight up underneath him. You know, these are tricky tracks to bet on, but they're exciting. And sure, you're going to have a lot of losing bets, and maybe the best horse doesn't win, but good horses win and good riders win. Glyn's a good rider. Glyn in the Group 1, you're always going to get good Glyn in the Group 1.
He was very focused, wasn't he? What do we say about Chautauqua off that run? He
raced out of his skin. I've seen it every time I've ever seen it. It's looked a lot better. So that's the worst I've ever seen it, which is not abnormal with a horse getting older. They seem to eat all right, and like all of us, have a look at us.
All right, so I'm tipping that Chautauqua doesn't have another run till the TJ Smith.
Yep. Is it 12 under the TJ?
Yeah.
It'll win.
So is that 8th of April? So
it'll win.
5 weeks.
It'll win.
Okay, you've heard it.
Well, we had to beat.
Ergo Foscolo was the best back horse on the day.
Another gay horse that dropped out and ran last.
Went very fast in the lead. Put paid to Music Magnate, who had to chase him along the inside.
And I thought Music Magnate went terrific. Good horse, Music Magnate.
Well, what about Haraki, who just wasn't wanted at all? Wasn't disadvantaged by where he was, but just
$12 he was.
The market said, no, he's a roughie in this race.
I thought he ran really well, Mark.
Okay, so you're up for that. You're a wrap for that race.
A little bit. Well, they're our nice horses, aren't they? I mean, Lure Remain's a bloody beauty.
They're
good horses. Anything impending ran out of its skin.
So Gay went from last to first in the, not the Lightning, it's the Challenge Stakes, where English, Shin cut the corner as well. And Redzell tried to play down the outside. Looked like he was going to get her.
Redzell's a little bit of a tranny's full brother, isn't he?
He's just going to be a caravan horse from now on. We're not going to have much to do with him.
He's a funny horse. I tipped English on top from Mounty Armagh. It paraded terrifically. Can't believe they bet $6.
Yeah.
Another plane?
Yeah.
That's a plane about to crash. Imagine a plane crash right next to us. We'd keep filming.
One of my nightmares. I'm driving down the Princess Highway at St Peters, and there's a plane just ploughing into the highway in front of me.
Is that a nightmare? I would love that. Oh God, I'm terrible. I shouldn't say that because there'd be people on board.
No, it's a nightmare because it calls you to action.
What would you do?
Well, somehow you're...
If I was driving, I'd get you out of it. Wouldn't I?
You'd get me out of the plane, or you'd...
We wouldn't be injured, and we'd get full viewage. We'd have our little camera rolling for the RacingRant. Watch here.
Is there anything else to take? Is there anything to take out of this challenge? You know, English has now won 2 challenges, 1,000 metres, great, lovely. Redzell you've described. Sapedo, who really cares? Ball of Muscles run last.
Ball of Muscles. SP $5. You've got to retire it from the marketplace, punters.
And Al Cielo got checked on the outside fence.
Yeah. And wouldn't it be nice, Tim Clark, typical, 4 off the fence, everyone's 11 off the fence. Good on you, Timmy. Well done. Some of us took the 80 to 1, wouldn't it be nice, and thought it fit in there. Race 6, let's get this great race, or race 7, Inference.
Yeah, well, I was all over Invincible Gem. She was a leader that failed to hold on. There was only one leader that won.
Yeah, I thought Brenton was a bit kind there to Tommy, leaving that run on the outside fence. I thought maybe if he moved even harder up and get interference behind him, he might have held on.
I reckon it's hard to direct leaders after they've made the play. Really, the only thing you can do with them is hug the inside fence. And if you're trying to, they must be wandering.
It's a funny thing, isn't it?
And hard to hard to direct late.
He rode it great, Brenton, but it was heartbreaking for all involved for it to get beat.
So
they got to $8 on the Pharisee jump. What was that all about?
Yeah, what was that
all about? Odds.
Well, they didn't like it. Maybe
they were wrong.
Maybe because it was going to lead.
Well, they were wrong. It's raced like a 5 to 2 chance.
Yeah, for sure. Time to say big hello to Warren from Warren, who came down and said, look, I've just come down here to back this Inference, did such a good job in Melbourne, and, this is its race.
Good judge, Warren from Warren.
And
he was on the drink with me Saturday night, another one.
Inference, like, he reeled them in pretty easily. I realised that he was ridden very much like Frolics, but ridden perfectly. But he put a stamp on that field that I'm, you know, we're going to go to Rose Hill and we're going to say, oh, that was heavy 10, this is you know, soft 5 or whatever.
This was a fluke win, and Inference to win by 3 lengths.
He
Owned them.
He owned them.
He owns them. And going forward, it'll only get better.
So where do we go to for coming through here?
Well, I think we pen jobbed it a while ago, didn't we? We've given up on the preview a little bit for the last couple of things. I mean, hopefully next start, I suppose, is tranny off, but
He's just. Well, I suppose he's going to go to the Doncaster, isn't he? Yeah, so he's going to have another run before then, maybe the Far Lap.
probably the follow.
Glenn, you had a big interest here because Impovito looked like it should have been probably beaten inside a length in the race.
Well, you know, we'll get an email later about don't buy mounting yard mark because Glenn's always out of play. But honestly, you know, picking horses, and obviously I've been tipping for 5.5 years now. But thanks so much for your kind email, mate. Whoever you are, jerk features. Anyway, but I don't run particularly well. I had 1,100 to place in Impovito at $6, and I had about 500 to win at 30s. And I'm not saying I should have won the race, but
he nearly could have won the race.
I should have been collecting the $7,000 a place, and there I am getting checked from man from uncle, as if Ty would ever knowingly do me a favour. Not that he knew I was on it. And it's funny when you just don't run good with blokes, and he got a check that cost it nearly winning the race.
Well, he couldn't do anything on the horse for
well,
a
it's a perfect example of how I run. It'll be, you know, 7-2 to win the Derby, be my worst way, and win by 5 lengths, and I'll go, oh yeah, I found that horse first. But I run bad with horse. I run bad.
The 7-2 favourite in the race was Man from Uncle. Does he need to come back in distance?
I don't know what he needs. Has he had enough?
He's only had, that's his 3rd run back in his 2nd prep. They're not thinking of stopping just yet.
Maybe not. I was just thinking, has he had enough?
Is he a miler or is he a sprinter?
I think he's a 1,400 metre horse that can go well over 11 and 12 first up.
And Malays was like heavily backed.
Yeah.
It was the Victorian, the